Hi, this is Laura Whitmore with Acoustic Nation, and I'm here today with Tony Lucca. Hey, Tony.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing really good.
Welcome to New York.
Thank you. It's a gorgeous day.
It's a gorgeous day. We're all happy. We're all smiling.
I know. Yeah, it's like a whole new landscape when the weather breaks in New York.
Yes, it
it's
is.
Great.
Happy New Yorkers. It's a rarity.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we are here to talk about your latest album and what you're working on. So you released Tony Lucca, your self-titled album.
I know.
In January, right?
Crazy notion after like 8 albums to finally be like, well, maybe we should debut. Yeah, it was really the album sort of marked a starting over thing for me. You know, I've been at this a long time. But you know, having done The Voice and on the heels of that, you know, it sort of reshuffles the deck a bit. But ultimately, I knew I had to get back to business at some point, and that's what we did with this record. And I felt like, well, there's a lot of people that might have heard the name. There's some older fans that may have fallen off. But here's the new Tony V2.
V2, yeah, reboot.
Yeah, the reboot, exactly. Yeah.
So. Talk a little bit about the production of the album. I mean, it's an awesome, kick-ass, electric guitar-driven album, which I really love the vibe of it.
Thank
and
you.
I felt
Thank
like
you.
the feel of it was really like nice and gritty and
kind of
going southern rocky.
Kind of going for like
that
the fuzzy dice T-top '80s, you know, classic rock thing.
Yeah, but talk a little bit about your approach to that and your kind of
Yeah, you know.
feel there.
Yeah, thanks. It really stemmed from, you know, though it is a rock record by and large, production-wise, you know, it does always come down to whether the songs translate with just guitar and vocal and an acoustic guitar, because that's how I do all my writing. Is pretty much every writing session I go to, I bring my acoustic and we write. And if it sounds like it should be recorded electric, then of course you plug in. Yeah, this album, you know, specifically, I was able to take my band, the guys that I've been playing with for the last handful of years, into the studio. You know, I normally record with session guys or studio guys, but my band, you know, we've got a pretty legit sound as a unit, and I wanted to capture that. I thought it was time for that, and so I was really stoked to bring my boys in the studio. And you know, so when you're on stage and you be like, yeah, we just made a record, and you're not talking about like you and some producers, you know, the people on stage made a record, and that's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, I think maybe that helped create that feel, that sort of real, I don't know, gritty.
Yeah, it's loose, you know. It almost sounds like a live show, well recorded.
And so, so did you guys record live too, or did you track it?
We really did. No, I mean, by and large we did. I had recently moved to Nashville, and I had set out to make a record. I was like, wow, I'm gonna make a record in Nashville because I'm here now, and I'm, you know. So I locked out 2 weeks in Nashville, but had some tour dates leading up to it. A couple of festival dates up in the like in Virginia, and I had, like, they were weekends apart, so I had a week off in between 2 festival dates up in, like, on the coast, and I didn't want to go all the way back to Nashville and then come all the way back, so I was like, what would be great is to, like, find a studio up there and go hole up in a studio or a basement somewhere with my band, and, like, let's learn these songs. Let's get these songs dialed in so that when we do go into the studio in Nashville, we're not wasting time or money. And so we were looking to do some pre-production, basically. And some friends of ours invited us to their home studio, and man, after 5 days, we had about 75% of the record knocked out. You know, I played a Gretsch, threw a tube screamer into a deluxe, and that was it. I just sat on a stool like this, and the band tracked, you know, the rhythm section tracked in the other room, and we just rifled through it, and it had a really great feel that I didn't want to meddle with too much. When we went to Nashville, it was just overdubs and vocals and editing and that kind of stuff.
So the bones
are like
good.
really,
yeah.
you know,
yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, did you write there with the guys too, or did you write ahead of time?
No, yeah, the songs were all written.
Yeah,
you know, I've never, to date, I've yet to really go into the studio without a batch of tunes
That would
to
be
make
scary.
it kind of, yeah, like maybe it's just
I'm here.
I don't think I've had the luxury of time or can
Yeah,
afford
yeah.
to just go in there and write and create. For me, they're two separate processes. I would love to do that. I think that'd be really magical. And actually, some of the demos, some of the work tapes, were very similar to the album because they were written in a studio setup, and so we were able to kind of track as we went. And so that was a good head start going into the studio for the actual album. But yeah, to just do a big 2 or 3 month lockout with nothing going in and
jamming.
come out with a fresh album would be a really cool.
So the album, the songs on the album, was there stuff that you'd been kicking around for a while, or did you write fresh for the album? Did you do some co-write?
There was a little bit of stuff kicking around. Prior to this record, I was in a record deal where we put out an EP with the intention of a full length. So I was always writing just to keep the songs on the table, and we had a bunch of songs ready for a full length. The deal really just only lasted for the EP. We put the EP out, and it did what it did, and then we parted ways, which was cool and amicable. But
That's the thing with Adam.
That was with Adam Levine, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I still was like dead set on making a full length within a year's time at least. And so I had a head start on some of the songs, but as I started writing more and more, I tapped into a vein that was fresh for me, and a couple of writers down in Nashville that I started working with, and we just started making time as much as we could to get together and continue writing on this new trajectory, and it just produced a really cohesive body of tunes that I think when you listen to it, though there's some dynamics as the record goes along, as there should be, by and large, there are no like major outliers on the record.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cohesive listen. So.
There's not that one song that somehow that one becomes a hit. And
Yeah, it's got like some synth, or it's extreme playing more than words in the middle of a progressive alt rock
Yeah,
record.
no, I really like the album
Thank
as
you.
a whole too, and
Thank you.
individually. But
Yeah.
so you talked a little bit about using that Gretsch guitar on the album. What do you got here?
This is a really cool Blues King from Gibson. It's loosely based, I guess, on the specs of the Robert Johnson model, and they let me borrow this some time ago. Kind of lost track of how much time. No, I mean I say that, but I've given it some pretty special, primetime television action, and I think that's kind of the whole idea.
Yeah.
But I love it. I grew up on dreadnoughts. My dad had a Martin, a 74 or 73, a 73 D35 that was just like his prized baby. And as I, got more serious with my career, and he saw that this was what I was going to do, he bequeathed that to me. And
Wow.
so yeah, I was always playing the Martin D35. I wound up buying another one out in LA, a Guitar Center, an old vintage one that just. And I just love that big sound, the David Crosby kind of open tuning, Joni Mitchell thing, and that's just been my main approach until this. This guitar, as little as it is, the pickup in it and the way it's built, it's got enormous body and strength and low end. I just never would have imagined a guitar like this could have. It's real punchy, and it's just like you're not fighting with a big old, dreadnought. And so I've fallen in love with this guitar, and it's become my main axe when I do play acoustic.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna hear that in a minute.
Yeah.
So you're playing here in New York. You're doing some touring.
Mm-hmm.
What else is coming up for you?
Yeah, we're out here promoting the new album. It's the Paint a Picture tour, which has been a lot of fun so far. The album was funded through Kickstarter, it was a crowdfunding thing, which went extremely successful, to say the least. It was an extremely encouraging chapter and an experience to just, whoa, okay, almost like a mandate from your fans to go kick ass and make a great record. Yeah, go do your thing.
Yeah.
So I felt like, okay, I gotta do my thing, and
You gotta bring it now.
Yeah, but part of the incentive, the rewards that we offered, one of them was original songs. So you could like buy an original song, send me some anecdotal stuff, and I would I'd write a song for it.
you got some writing to do.
Nine songs later, I wrote all these songs, and
Is that the next album?
and I think that's the next album. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
super cool.
to call it an album would be I don't know.
Okay,
but
whatever
but
project.
yes, but definitely like I plan on later this
Are they
summer.
really short songs?
No, I mean quite honestly, like they're some of my favorite songs now. Like
I've never heard of anyone doing that. That's really.
It was
really
yeah,
cool.
it was really cool, and you know, obviously there's the financial benefits of doing a Kickstarter thing, but I didn't foresee the connection. Like I really connected with some of these fans through this experience, and you know, some of the songs were lighthearted and fun and silly and easier to approach and try and write, but there were a couple that were like really heavy. People, you know, sending stuff about the passing of a loved one or you know, this kind of thing, and you're just like, oh, okay.
Wow.
That raises the stakes here, you know.
So
and
have these people heard what you wrote?
they have.
Yeah.
They've all heard them. I've done like real rough demos and passed those on. Some I've had the luxury of playing live for because they come to shows on tour. We'll go back in the green room and I'll play them the song, and it's just like, wow, it was such an emotional experience and a wonderful one. I really enjoyed it, and like I said, I think the songs are actually pretty cool, and so I think I'm going to put out the Kickstarter sessions and just do like an acoustic album of those and
That's
see.
super cool. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks. And we're gonna take a break and have you play some
Okay,
stuff.
right on.
Thank you.